What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's filthiest pitches of the day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. Join Ninja Nation. Be a part of the biggest and best daily baseball show on YouTube. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with Yu Darvish, who had 6 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 4 runs. He had this fastball, wicked curveball, dirty splitters. I thought this splitter was a slider originally, but then I remembered Yu does this sometimes. He gets sliderish movement on his splitters. Darvish also had this wicked sweeper. He faced Ryan Walker, the opener, who only had 1 K, and it was on this sinker. Gavin Williams made his major league debut and had 4 Ks in 5 2/3 innings, giving up 4 runs. His arsenal consisted of these nasty sliders, this changeup, and this pretty curveball. Williams is rated the number 4 right-handed pitching prospect by MLB.com. I totally remember him dominating at ECU a couple years ago, and I expect big things out of him. He faced Paul Blackburn, who had 7 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 4 runs. He had these breaking balls and painted 2-seamers, and has quietly been picking up a few more Ks than one would expect, something to keep in mind for future K props. Kyle Hendricks had 2 Ks in 6 1/3 innings, giving up 1 earned run, and had these changeups and got a sword. He battled Rich Hill, aka Dick Mountain, who had 4 Ks in 5 2/3 innings. He had this fastball and this beautiful 69-mile-an-hour curveball, and I will always feature Dick Mountain throwing 69. Taj Bradley had 8 Ks in 6 innings, giving up only 1 run on 3 hits. He had this elevated cutter, these nasty changeups, and this very pretty curveball. Look at that 12-6 action, and it marries perfectly with his fastball. Here's his fastball and curveball overlaid, and you can see what I mean. You think both of them are fastballs coming to the plate, and that curveball just dives to the dirt. He faced Tyler Wells, who had 6 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 2 earned runs, and had this backdoor cutter. Jac Caglianone had 4 Ks in 7 innings, giving up 1 run. He had these knuckle curves, and 1 getting the sword, as well as these changeups and cutters. He battled Julio Teheran, who had 3 Ks in 5 scoreless innings. Teheran had this cutter and then got a sword on this 2-seamer. And I had someone ask, why would you swing at a 2-seamer way off the plate? Well, here it is overlaid with Teheran's cutter. And you can see how well those pitches tunnel, and why, if you think you're swinging at a cutter, but you get a sinker, you're going to end up looking bad. Teheran's ERA is now 1.53. Matthew Boyd had 7 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 2 earned runs, and had this changeup, fastball, and slider. He faced Brady Singer, who only had 2 Ks in 7 innings, giving up 5 runs, and had this slider. Trevor Williams had 4 Ks in 6 scoreless innings, and had this slider. He faced Miles Michaelis, who had 3 Ks in 7 innings, giving up 2 runs. He had these nasty sliders, including this one that might have been a little off the plate, but we'll take it. Garrett Whitlock had 6 Ks in 7 innings, giving up 4 runs, and had this changeup, fastball, slider, and nasty 2-seamer. And I love this isolated look at Whitlock releasing his changeup because you can see how much he pronates through it. That helps him get nasty horizontal movement. He faced off against Sonny Gray, who had 5 Ks in 5 innings, and had this painted 2-seamer. And I also overlaid this 93-mile-an-hour fastball with his wicked slider. And you can really see how Gray uses pitch tunneling to get swings well off the plate. Michael Kopech had 5 Ks in 4 innings, giving up 3 runs, and had this fastball, including this elevated fastball, as well as this nasty changeup. He battled Martin Perez, who only had 2 Ks in 7 innings, giving up 2 earned runs, and had this off-the-plate paint. As I keep saying, he gets these calls more than anybody. Luis Castillo had 3 Ks in 5 innings, giving up 3 runs, and had these overpowering fastballs. He faced Johnny Brito, who had 3 Ks in 5 2/3 scoreless innings, giving up only 2 hits. And Brito had this nasty changeup and curveball. Kevin Gausman had 6 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 3 runs, and of course got most of his Ks on his filthy splitters. He outdueled Sandy Alcantara, who went 7 innings, giving up 5 earned runs, and had 6 strikeouts. Sandy had this filthy slider and changeup, but his ERA now stands at 5.08. Andrew Abbott had 10 Ks in 6 innings with no walks, Did give up 3 runs on 3 home runs, but I actually liked the way he dealt with adversity in this game, because he just hasn't had all that much of it in the major leagues, since these were the first runs he's given up. He had these nasty sweepers and changeups, as well as this curveball that got the bend the knee. Abbott continues to impress. Brusdar Graterol had 3 Ks in 2 innings as the opener for the Dodgers, getting Ks on his slider, cutter, and fastball. And he faced yesterday's filthiest starting pitcher of the day and Major League home run leader, Shohei Ohtani. Ohtani had an amazing 12 strikeouts in 7 innings, giving up only 1 run on 5 hits. His fastball was up to 100 miles an hour, and he had a 100-mile-an-hour fastball for his 11th K of the game. He also painted with his fastball, and his command was outstanding this game, throwing 76% strikes. Ohtani also had these filthy splitters, cutters, and of course, his sweepers. An absolute filth fest by Ohtani. Ohtani also had this ridiculous Gold Glove play. Okay, ridiculous is in air quotes. Look at his incredible multitasking ability. The man is a unicorn. He's appealing the swing while simultaneously catching the throwback from his catcher, Chad Wallach, who probably had his career flash before his eyes because he thought he might injure the most talented baseball player on earth. I matched Shohei's mechanics up against another GOAT athlete, LeBron James, and you could see how much more effective Ohtani's mechanics are. Ohtani dodges a ball and catches it, while LeBron catches it with his face. Here's an overlay of Ohtani's 98-mile-an-hour fastball with his sweeper, and you can see why when his sweeper and fastball are on, it's over for hitters. I kind of got the feeling that this game was a little audition for Ohtani, who's maybe likely to be on the Dodgers next year. And I just pictured Ohtani recreating this great John Lennon quote while walking off the mound.
For the group and ourselves, I hope we pass the audition.
In the College World Series, Jac Caglianone had this 97-mile-an-hour wicked fastball. Look at the movement on this. And it was filthy enough to get a ninja bat signal from the announcers.
That is coming straight to a pitching ninja video. That was disgusting.
Now onto my filthiest relievers. Yency Almonte had this fastball and sweeper. Emmanuel Clase had this auto K as well as this wicked cutter. I'm not sure what happened with this auto K. Kind of looked like Diaz turned around and called time. Diaz thought he did. The umpire thought he didn't. Jimmy Cordero had this nasty sinker somehow called a strike by Phil Cuzzy. What was my man looking at here? What a terrible call. Evan Phillips had this filthy sweeper. Touki Toussaint had these beautiful curveballs. Scott McGuff K'd the side with his fastball and splitters. Josh Sborz had this slider for a sword. Michael King had this sweeper and 2-seamer combo that he decided to overlay because you can see what hitters have to deal with. Those pitches swap places. Mark Leiter Jr. had this filthy splitter. Michael Fulmer had this 84-mile-an-hour sweeper. Phil Maton had this nasty curveball with 3,142 RPMs. Brian Abreu had this slider and 99-mile-an-hour heater. Ryan Presley had this slider and buzzsaw curveball with 3,374 RPMs. Joan Duran had this 97-mile-an-hour splinker and overpowering 101-mile-an-hour heater. Trevor Richards had this filthy changeup. Camilo Doval had these sliders. Adam Ottavino had this absolutely disgusting 2-time zone sweeper. Look at that thing go. But my filthiest reliever of the day was Sean Hjelle. Sean had 5 Ks and 4 scoreless innings thanks to these hammer knuckle curves as well as his 2-seamers, and I overlaid his knuckle curve and 2-seamer. And that is a brutal combo. He's also officially the tallest pitcher ever to win Pitching Ninja's filthiest reliever of the day at 6'11". Well, that's also because he's the tallest pitcher ever to pitch in the major leagues, but it's a momentous occasion here at Pitching Ninja's filthiest pitches of the day. And now, my Pitching Ninja moment of zen. It's the generational talent Paul Skeens with this absolutely elite water bottle toss. I think he's going to be facing off against Rhett Lauder today. I've interviewed both of them, so go check them out on this channel. After you've subscribed, of course. What is up, everybody? My picks of the day today are a 3-leg parlay. I'm going to start out with the same game parlay of Braxton Garrett for 6Ks or more, and Mitch Keller for 7Ks or more, and top it off with Blake Snell for 7Ks or more. What would your picks of the day be?